Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the TRN Azzure Dragon. This is the latest IEM from TRN, a planar and a sequel to the original Kirin. Anyway, let me just first show you the box and then we'll talk about the rest. Nice packaging, really nice packaging. I mean, TRN usually doesn't disappoint. In the back there's very little information to none. But anyway, nice packaging. Remove the sleeve. Okay. And then open up the box. This doesn't want to open up easy. There we go. Alright, open up the box. Got this little sheet here covering it. You open, take it away. IEMs came over there. Lift this out. Over here in this hole comes the case, which I'll show to you. And then we have a tray with tips and some paperwork. The tips are some foams, some TRNT tips, and some generic tips that they offer. They call, let me see if I can show you the name. They state that the name for the black ones are the, oh my god, balanced tips. Anyway, it is what it is. I ended up, well, I did try them with these tips, and to be honest with you, be it the TRN tip, the T tips were the best between the two of them. And the T-tips basically measured exactly the same as the KB Euro 7. I prefer the KB Euro 7s because they are a little bit more dense in the outside of the tip, so they don't collapse as easily. And because I like or try as much as possible to insert the IM as deep as possible, you know, that's something that I really welcome. Anyway, then we have a few other accessories. The plugs for the modular cable, 2.5, 3.5. Okay, let me just get this here out of the way so it doesn't bug us. And then the case, as I mentioned, okay. And we still have the tuning nozzles, which is one of the things that the Azzure Dragon does have as a calling card. However, I will say that the tuning nozzles, two of them basically are exactly the same, which is the reference and the transparency. Basically they measure the same. There's no foam, no filter, no nothing on them. I've actually left the reference tips on there because they're the ones that of the three sets work the best. And then we have the atmospheric. And the atmospheric, the difference between that and the rest is that if you look carefully, the diameter is a little bit smaller, and what that means is that it's going to shift the pin again earlier and drop off a little bit of energy as well a little bit earlier, more up top. So after, I would say, that the initial pin again peak. Anyway, when I show you the graphs, you'll understand what I mean. The case is a nice case. We've seen these cases already from other brands. It's a nice case. It's got the TRN logo there. It's fine. I mean, when it comes to accessories, I really cannot complain. This is an IEM that this particular unit, I got it from HIFIGO, if I'm not mistaken. This is an IEM that costs $210 roughly, so you know, big money, let's put it that way. The cable is actually a nice cable. This TRN cable is actually a nice cable. The only criticism I've done on this cable before already is just the termination here on the IEM side. I mean, it's about time that they could have actually made a nicer termination there. Okay, anyway, as for the shell in itself is exactly the same as the Kirin shell. What they've spent some serious money and design and time is on the faceplate, and they've made this really nice design of the faceplate, elusive towards the dragon and the scales and so on and so forth. So in that aspect, it's a beautiful IEM, beautiful. Now, when you consider how nice the IEM is and the cable and everything, you know, there are little details which fail. This plug here should have been slightly different to kind of, you know, go along the whole theme, in my opinion. That's one of the reasons why I just don't like this particular plug. The tips, I'm using these Penon liqueur tips. I've got the orange ones here because I'm waiting for the black ones to come, but obviously the black ones would suit this IEM much better. I mean, orange is a little bit chana. Anyway, that's not the issue. The issue is the tips work well. They measure again almost identical to the KB Euro 7s, and I'm using these ones. Why? Because although the KB Euro 7s worked fine and I used them, extensively, I found that because of the shape that this has here somehow, I don't know if it's the smoothness, for some reason it was kind of popping out quite easily. And even when I changed the KB Euro 7s from the medium sized to the large size, which is a yellow, I was still encountering the same problem. So I ended up using these liqueurs because they've got like a little bit of a sticky feel to them, kind of like the Azles. And the end result was perfect, and I'm really happy with that. So build quality is fine, no complaints there. It's a really nice build quality. It's using a 14.5 millimeter driver. I'm not sure if this is a newer generation like the ones we found in the P20 and on the MP145. I would assume that this is maybe still the older generation 14.5 millimeter driver. We got the adjustable nozzles like I've mentioned, modular cable, nice case. I mean, a solid argument can be made to justify its price. Let's put it that way. Anyway, let's get on to what we want, which is obviously how does it sound and how does it compare to some of the other IMs in the market. I used the M2 from Colorfly, mostly the Snowy Night for my full, and then the TP30 as well for this comparison. The TP30 surprisingly synergized very well with the Azzure Dragon. So I would actually say it came in tie with the Snowy Night and M2 and as well the TP50, the one that you also use the 43198 chips. I had to get the original Kirin to compare it to that. I got the P1 Max 2 here. I've got the Shozi P20 and I've got the MP145. I think these are enough to position this IM and for you guys to understand where it's coming from. The original Kirin was $170 something. It subsequently came down in price, and I've seen it as low as like $110 occasionally. The P1 Max 2 is $139. The P20 is again $139, and the MP145 has recently dropped the price to $150. These are all prices at HIFIGO, by the way. Although the difference in terms of price for example, LINSOUL they're basically the same. To be honest, they kind of trade blows. LINSOUL used to have the original P1 Max at a very competitive price, $99, and that was like that for a long time. Anyway, the original Kirin, I mean, it's not that it was a terrible sounding IM, but it had a tuning which after the initial pin again it also had the adjustable nozzles, which by the way they are exactly the same as the current Azzure, exactly the same. There's no difference. Okay, these are the original ones, these are the Azzure ones. They are exactly the same. Okay, they've just changed the size of the square that holds them, but it's exactly the same nozzles. But basically, I think the biggest problem here with the Kirin was that after the initial pin again, it had first of all it had two big peaks, just over 2 and then around 5K, with a very big dip in between that, and that just made the sound to be very hollow, especially at female vocals. It just kind of you got the boost. You got an openness in the sound, a forwardness in the sound, which was, okay, wasn't bad. And then all of a sudden you had a drop in output, and it kind of made it sound like something was missing there, almost kind of hollow. So I guess that coupled to the fact that it wasn't exactly cheap as well, it very much dictated its fate, and the reality was the Kirin wasn't a very successful IM, although it was nicely built. As you can see, it's got a very nice shell, very nicely built, and it just never really picked up. In that aspect, the Azzure Dragon, when it comes to now the sound aspect and them wanting to guarantee to a certain extent that the Azzure is going to be more successful, they've hit the nail right on the head. I mean, these two IMs could not be further from each other in terms of sound. You know, you listen to the Kirin, you listen to the Azzure straight away, or you're listening to the Azzure and you go into the Kirin, you notice very easily the difference. This sounds hi-fi. This sounds like a complete frequency spectrum is being reproduced, and it sounds really nice and engaging. That there, by comparison, nice bass. I'm not going to say it hasn't got decent treble up top, especially the extension after 10K. But then the meat and potatoes of everything, let's put it that way. So between, let's say, 800 hertz and 8K, it's a bit of a mess. I attempted to retune it, and actually I wasn't too dissatisfied with the results I got. I was actually able to make it sound significantly more balanced. But you know, it's still not enough. I mean, I retuned my one already a long time ago, but even my retuned version is not enough to keep up with the Azzure Dragon. The Azzure Dragon is a much better IM. The P1 Max 2 was again recently released, and from what I was able to ascertain, not only is it different from its original design or original tuning, which was a very flattish type, very neutralist type of tuning. Everything sat within a window of, like, say, 6 dBs, give or take. It was kind of like the original P1 Max. You can look at it and say it was kind of like a blank canvas, waiting for you to then choose carefully, you know, what source you were going to use, what dongle, what DAC amp combo, what tip, what cable perhaps even, and see what you could get out of it. That made it quite entertaining, and I thoroughly enjoyed the P1 Max because of that. When I compare the two of them, I'm not going to discredit the Azzure, but it's very evident that although the bass graphically looks similar, it's very evident that the P1 Max has got a better bass, a more prominent, more present bass. It's not only is it fuller, but it goes deeper, and it's, you know, you don't have to go to too many songs to pick up on that. Like deeper from Pete Velasco's one song that I use quite often, and automatically you can pick up on that difference. From Dusk to Dawn from George Duke, those initial bass slams of the drums, you can feel that this has got that extra, you know, weight to it. As for then the mids and the upper mids and treble, again, this, I'm not going to say all the time, but 75% of the time it's edging out the Azzure Dragon. It's just a more polished product, altogether. And, you know, coupled to the fact that it then costs as well $60 less, it makes it hard to justify. Okay, fine, it's got a resin shell, it hasn't got a nice metal shell, it hasn't got the case, it hasn't got the adjustable nozzles. All of those things can to some extent mitigate the difference in price, but the truth is, you know, ultimately when it comes to the meat of the question, which is the one that is going to be the most satisfying sound wise, I would say the P1 is going to be the most satisfying. It's going to be the one that's going to be more versatile. As for the P20 and the MP145, we have very much the same repeat situation as with the P1 Max 2. The P20, if you recall when I reviewed it now recently, I said that it had a sound which was very similar to the 99% the MP145 from HiDiz. Coupled to the fact that it does cost $139 as well, there's a big gap in the price, which, you know, ultimately the difference that exists between the two of them in terms of its accessories is this has got a nicer cable, this has got a more simpler cable, and this has got the adjustable nozzles, and that hasn't. The adjustable nozzles in this particular case, very much like as well on the original Kirin, they don't, you know, you just got to stick with one set, and that's it. You're just going to stick with the set that it comes by default on it. the other two, the other set, the transparency is basically the same thing, and the atmospheric, I don't think it's not gonna be too. At least I particularly didn't enjoy it. Yes, it did kind of mellow down slightly, the upper mids and the treble, but I got the perception that mellowing down of the upper mids and treble actually stole a little bit away from the planar magic, because if there's one thing that's I think been very well done, which is also the case with the P1 Max 2, the P20 and the MP145, is they've been able to strike a very nice balance between having some DD vibe to it, and as well at the same time not forgetting that it's a planar, so it has got that planar goodness there. Of the three, perhaps this one is the one that still sounds the most planar, while these two sound not more, but sound less planar. Okay, the DD genes are a little bit more present. This will ultimately also mean that this maybe sounds a little bit more clinical, while those two sound a little bit more organic. This one is pending more towards the clinical side, especially because it just doesn't have the bass like the P1 and then the P20 and the high Ds. So in terms of the bass, the P20 is superior. In terms of the mids, again superior. Overall, it is just a superior IEM. The little bit that it loses out in terms of some twinklies and sparklies to the Kirin, to the Azzure Dragon, it makes up for it very easily. Okay, and then the MP145, I've basically just said it all with the P20. Coupled to that, for $150, we get the tuning nozzles, which do vary the sound profile quite nicely. It's got a nice cable. It just doesn't have the case. Okay, this here just doesn't have a nice case, but it's got a nice cable. It's got the tuning. It's $150. Again, $60. Actually, this is more. That's 210. This is 140. It's $70 price difference. $70 as well for the P20. And this is $60 price difference. It is a huge price difference that the Azzure Dragon isn't able to mitigate and shine and justify you actually spending that money for the Azzure Dragon. So overall, I mean, however much I did enjoy listening to it, and I think that it's a competent IEM, it does. It wouldn't be fair for me to say now, no, this is a solid IEM and you must go and choose that one over the others, because it's where it counts, where it matters, which is its sound performance. It does not outperform the competition, or at least these three competitors. Yeah. And then in terms of its accessories, yes, but again, it's all very relative. And I'm not even mentioning cheaper offerings which can do the same thing and even perhaps surpass the performance of the Azzure Dragon, like the case of the Earphone Pro. So that's it, guys. I mean, like I said, it's a nice sounding IEM. It's not offensive. It's a nice sounding IEM. It's got nice bass, nice mids, nice upper mids, nice treble, good extension up past 10K. It's got a nice overall balance, a nice tonality and timbre. It's a little bit more on the clinical side, so nice. It's quite proficient when it comes to all the micro details and so on and so forth. It's quite good. The sound stage is pretty decent. Imaging is pretty good as well. Nothing that I can truly falter or say, okay, now this is its shortcoming. The biggest difference that you notice when you listen to these four straight away is that this is the less bassy set, without a question. And that's it. Alright, I'll show you another graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for the Azzure Dragon. Let me start by showing you the graph of the original TRN Kirin. This is the graph of the original Kirin. So we had this peak at just over 2K, another peak at 5, some extension there, but overall if you had to kind of average out this area here from 2 to 8K, it's kind of it's got a way too abrupt slope, And you know, these dips here, which are quite significant, and we're talking about a dip here of 5 dBs more or less, and then another big dip here of like 10 dBs. It just made the Kirin sound, yes, there's bass, there's some extension past there, but it was a darker sounding IM. Fair enough, granted that the treble wasn't offensive or anything of the sort, but no, it just it was something that was off there. Okay, now let me show you the Azzure Dragon with the different filters that they have. Okay, so this is with the one filter, this is with the other filter, which is exactly the same, and this is with the third filter. So this third filter that you see now is what they call the transparency, the atmospheric filter, and it's got that dip, that you know, going down, which, yes, okay, it's gonna tame the treble, but the treble, in my opinion, is never really a problem. It's never, I never found the treble to be offensive in any manner. And actually, when you compare it here to the original Kirin, there's a lot of similarities there, and what they did is they kind of brought this whole level down, but somehow it doesn't sound as dark as the original Kirin. But anyway, that's not the important thing yet. Then we've got filter number 13, the other filter, which is the transparency, and the reference. And as you can see, they are basically they are exactly the same. So I just left it in the reference all the time, and that's how I did my comparisons. And when I compare the reference then with the original Kirin, I mean, it's quite evident they've done away with those peaks, and the fact that they've now given definitely more treble energy, you know, across this area of the upper mids and treble. You know, you notice that there's way more detail, way more twinklies and sparklies, you want to put it that way. Okay, so that's the Azzure Dragon. Compared now here with the Shozi P20, which is this one, you'd say, okay, it seems like it's got the same sort of bass and everything. No, the Shozi's definitely got a more weightier bass, a more present bass, you know, unquestionably. Besides not only being more present, you feel a sense of I'm trying to find the best word here. It's not even quality. It's just got that more seriousness to that bass. Okay, so the overall tonality is very agreeable, and then the rest of the extension, yeah, is fine. The way that the pinna gain has been done, I mean, we're talking about a pinna gain of roughly 6 dBs, give or take, in the Shozi, just over 6 dBs on the Shozi, which is very, very nice. And it just sounds more polished than the Azzure. It's not that the Azzure sounds bad, or, you know, but you just notice that the P20 sounds more polished, more mature, more detailed. The same thing applies to the MP145, which is what I've just put now. And as you can see, let me just take away the Azzure Dragon. They are basically measuring the same thing. But the MP145 and the Azzure Dragon, the MP145 is just a superior IEM again. The balance struck between the frequencies, even though graphically you wouldn't even perceive that, is just a nicer sounding IEM overall. Okay, and then finally the HiFi, the P1 Max 2, again the same sort of bass, plenty of extension. That's why I was saying that perhaps the P1 Max 2 compared with the Shozi P20 and the MP145 from HiFi is maybe the one that's perhaps a little bit the most clinical, the one that's got the most planar genetics. Take that, if you understand what I'm saying. But once again, we have the same repeat situation. Graphically, you look at it and you would think, okay, they're probably going to be sounding very similar, and they have occasions where they sound similar, but the P1 Max 2 is, I would say, 65-70% of the time sounding much more polished than the Azzure. and the same thing, like I said already before, applies to the shows the P20 and to the HIFIGO MP145. So on that basis, and on the fact that it is a pretty big money IEM, I can't wholeheartedly, of course, recommend it. Compared to its original, to its older sibling, definitely a much better planar. I mean, it's the best planar that they have. They've got the Kirin, they've got the Rosefinch, and now the Azzure Dragon. This is the best planar implementation that TRN has definitely done. Anyway, guys, I hope I was able to again give you a good overview of what the Azzure Dragon is about. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.